Alright, 26th, pretty sure 26th installment of Mean Stupid Wrong YouTube comments. Let's get into it. By the way, sphere right there, but need the camera at this angle. It's kind of cold out. Hood, cigar, you know, the deal. Alright, first one. You work in a casino, LOL. Put a bill in a kiosk, it'll give you change, LOL. Glad the guy said LOL twice, because I wasn't sure after the first one if he was serious or not. This was when I flew into Fresno, and I said, while I was waiting for the bus to go to the first casino, I went back into the airport and I like traded with the tip jar in Starbucks. I gave them a 5 and I took 3 singles because it was $1 a ride. Turned out to be free most of the day, but it was $1 a ride and I didn't have a lot of singles. I don't know why working in a casino helps when I'm in the Fresno airport and I need change. I mean, if you're miserable and your brain doesn't work well, I guess the two things are kind of related. I thought it was implicit that I'm prepared, and if I knew I were going to be taking the bus, I would have quarters or singles. I'm prepared enough to print out boarding passes when I take flights, and I thought it was clear that my plan was rideshare most of the way, like while I was planning the trip and when I was in the air, and once I landed I called an audible and decided to take the bus, but I needed singles, and at that point I didn't have it. When I cash out my tips, I usually give my 1s, 5s, 10s, etc. to make it like an even 20, an even 100, something like that. I didn't have a lot of singles that day. But, you know, I guess if I could pause time, if I could like throw a quarter in the air and have it land on its edge, like in the Twilight Zone, and pause time, and then get to a casino and make change and then go back, this would have made some amount of sense. Next one. You are paying $500 per month to rent a storage closet for sleeping. Is it really saving your retirement fund if you have to travel every weekend due to the unit being too unpleasant to relax in? All right, first of all, you shouldn't end sentences with prepositions. It's a bad habit to be in. But $500 per month. I never said what my rent is in a video, but if you're too lazy to do any research or say you don't know, I guess you could just guess and make up your own reality. That makes plenty of sense. The red, I'm pretty sure he means, is it worth saving for your retirement? He said, is it really saving your retirement fund, which the words he chose don't exactly match, I'm pretty sure, what he meant, but if you're someone leaving a comment like this, I don't imagine your grasp on English is as good as other people's. The end is just asinine, also ironic. I didn't know the only reason for traveling was because you don't like the structure of which you are a denizen. A lot of people travel and enjoy where they live. It's ironic though, because if you hated where you lived but had money to travel every weekend, then you just have money to live in a place that you like. I can't imagine there's anyone in the world who hates where he or she lives but is throwing around money every single weekend to travel somewhere else. But I don't know, don't expect these to make sense. They don't. But getting to the crux of this, for one, yes, it's exactly the point to pay less than like a typical 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment, and where I'm living is less expensive than living in hotels. As much as I enjoy living in hotels, even with my statuses, is more expensive. And I guess to this guy, living in a room is an awful thing. I guess he lives in a mansion. Never took the time to measure the square feet of my bedroom. I was about to, and then I realized I was way too busy not caring to actually go get a tape measure and measure the square footage of the room. I don't know how much room you need to sleep in. I guess this guy falls asleep and like starts tap dancing and he needs a lot of space. I don't need my room to be a lot bigger than the bed. I lay down in the bed when I'm sleeping, and that's the end of it. Oh, this guy, for one, this wasn't close to what I said, but this was in a video where I was leaving or going to work, and I said, you know, the band's playing and all the the street performers has gotten like out of control. They take up the entire sidewalk, they're really loud, they beg you for money, they harass you, and I would love it if none of them were ever on the strip again. For some reason this guy turned it into a diatribe against people who only say terrible things about the homeless. Let me let this plane pass, then I'll come back. Yes, having to try to walk around people on the strip is much worse than not having a roof over your head. Bless your heart, you poor thing. Yeah, I was talking about the performers, not the homeless people. I did mention the homeless people. The thing is, this wasn't even the first comment. This was a response to a comment. Someone else said, like, you can't arrest homeless people for being homeless. I didn't say that. When there are signs that say no soliciting and people are begging you for money, that's illegal. It happens to be the case that most of the people doing that are homeless. When you're soliciting where it says no soliciting, it's illegal if you have a home, it's illegal if you don't have a home. The fact that you're homeless or not homeless doesn't matter. You can't solicit where it says no soliciting. I would love it if people were enforcing this and citing them, ticketing them, finding them, or arresting them. Also, where it says no loitering and people are sleeping, that's illegal. If you're sleeping where it says no loitering and you have a home, it's illegal. If you're sleeping where it says no loitering and you don't have a home, it's also illegal. I would love it if they were fined, ticketed, arrested, or there were any kind of repercussion for violating the no loitering sign. People aren't enforcing this. It would be great if they were. There are some people who beg you for money, who have money and have homes, and there are some people who are just like probably passed out drunk and sleeping where it says no loitering and have homes. But most of the people doing those things and breaking those laws happen to be homeless people. And this guy's logic, I don't think he realizes that he's being a hypocrite. Let me let this plane pass one more time. Different plane, but let me let it pass. Yeah, the sidewalk is for walking. I didn't think it was that complicated considering the word walk is in the word sidewalk. Those bands that play largely outside Paris and Planet Hollywood, it gets to the point sometimes where you literally can't walk through. You need to walk on the street on Las Vegas Boulevard to get by. This commenter would rather have someone trying to walk on the sidewalk, walk on the street and get hit by a car than not have people playing music, entire bands on the strip that completely block the sidewalk. That's a ridiculous take, and no, the sidewalk is for walking. If you don't like earning money and paying taxes and having an actual job, and you need to play music on the strip in order to avoid being homeless, well, that's unfortunate. The sidewalk is for walking, the street is for cars. The street doesn't become for walking just because really annoying people are blasting music 10 people at a time on the sidewalk. And the last one, this one wasn't like any single ridiculous comment, but when I made that video about being taxed on more money than I earned, a lot of people said like, that's terrible and that should never be the case. It's a rare circumstance. There was one day where I thought it was close because I had a lot of breaks and I wasn't earning a lot of cash chips when I was dealing cash games, and I checked the numbers after and I earned a few more dollars than I was taxed on, which is typical. And then I thought this would be an interesting video and I was waiting for it to actually happen, and it did. I made that video and actually a few days later it happened a second time, and there was that one time I was on the clock just after the series ended. I was on the clock 30 minutes and then I was sent home, didn't deal a hand. So those were 3 times that I was taxed on more money than I earned. If you add up all those 3 though, I think it was like $35 or something. I was taxed on $35 more than I actually earned. Not a huge deal considering that one example I gave from a random day during the series, I made $285 and was only taxed on $201. And that's a typical day, not that amount, but the fact that I make more than I'm actually taxed on with how dealing poker in the state of Nevada and how the tip compliance works. There have been like over 100 days where I have made more than I was taxed on. So when you look at the whole week, the whole month, the whole year, etc., it's a great deal for poker dealers in this state. And that was one instance I wanted to share because of how rare it was, and the severity wasn't even very big. So yeah, it's not like the lawmakers have it out for poker dealers and we're like paying way more in taxes than we're supposed to. We actually pay a much smaller percent than most jobs, and it's a great deal. I just wanted to showcase that rare instance. And remember, rice is a spoon food.